Cav Cop here. In this video, I want to go over the unboxing of a scope. I was looking at buying a scope for a rifle that I'm building, and was thinking to myself, I should get a Schmidt & Bender Police Marksman 2 scope. It's one of the best ones out there. However, the price a little bit high. Then I thought, I have a Night Force scope. It's pretty high end. Maybe I should get one of those. It was too high as well. I looked at the Leopold Mark V HD. After looking at it and the cost, I decided, you know what? Let me try and go with something a little bit different that I think is still a high quality scope. I ended up getting a Vortex Razor HD. And we're going to go inside and do an unboxing on it. This one is set up for MRAD versus MOA, so it's going to be a little bit different as far as some of the setups go on things. It's a 50mm objective, not a 56, but for me, I bought it for some specific reasons, and I'll go over the unboxing of this inside and give you a little bit more information on it. Alright, so let's go over the unboxing of the scope I got. I decided to go with some Night Force rings. They're in a dark earth color, kind of like the scope's supposed to be. I'm probably going to end up spray painting them both desert tan, but I just wanted to kind of go with a matching look for colors. These are 6 screw scope rings. 2 would have been fine. I'm only using it on 308, so I have to see how the thickness plays out. These are classified as ultra light. Basically, they use titanium for the end piece and the crossbar. Everything else is aluminum. I may check how much these weigh versus my regular Leopold scope rings I normally use. But let's get to the unboxing part. Sealed up by Vortex here. See how hard it is to open this thing. Looks like it might have a centerpiece here too. It always looks so easier to do. Here we go. See if that'll stay in place. Get our padding. Comes with a little card telling you it passed inspection. They have a very good warranty overall through Vortex. Not sure. This right here is a lens cloth that it comes with, so something to wipe the lenses down with. Guess a pamphlet that goes over the EBR-7C reticle for the MRAD, first focal plane. First focal plane is an important reason why I bought this scope, because as you make your adjustments, the reticle will stay within the same calibrated sizing and everything. If you're not using a first focal plane and a second focal plane, usually you have to go all the way up to max power to actually be able to effectively use the reticle that's inside the scope if it's meant for like range estimating and stuff. This right here is, I guess, a pamphlet that goes over the scope itself, the Razor HD Gen 2 series of rifles, scopes. Get a Vortex sticker that came with it. Guess you can put on the inside of your vehicle or something like that. Comes with a lens cover, which I'll probably put on. This one right here is kind of long, but being in Texas, the scope will probably gather a lot of light in the sunlight, and being that it has a 50mm objective and a 34mm main tube housing. And it comes with a adjustment tool right here, I guess, and looks like a battery for the illuminated optics, and a wrench probably to adjust the zero and turret caps and everything. When we get to the scope itself, it says not to exceed 18 inch-pounds of torque on the range screws. Normally I don't torque the screws down all the way. I just do it hand tight. I do have a torque wrench. I may consider using it, but realistically I may not. Let's take a better look at the scope right here itself. Do you support freedom in firearms? If so, I assume that you're on Rumble. So if you are, do me a favor, subscribe to my channel. Give me a like. Drop some comments down below. Also, if you would, make sure you follow some other wonderful channels here on Rumble, like Therapy Range, Always Survives, and Dear Sarge. Oh, you can put some other ones in the description links below so you can find better stuff to watch on Rumble, so you can move away from YouTube. Take off the little lens caps that come from the factory. Definitely going to have to replace those later. Starting at the back over here, there's a adjustment on the eyepiece. This adjustment here usually allows you to focus the reticle itself better. So when you're looking against a background or something like that, normally you'll look up in the sky real quick and just try to focus the reticle itself, not on a target or anything, but just the clarity of the reticle as you look through it. You have to adjust it a little bit. Some will have no adjustment at all. Some will have a lock ring where you can loosen it, adjust the eyepiece, and then set it into place. This one is adjustable. It's very smooth. Extend it out. There's no play to it at all, so it's very well made for the quality overall, which is one of the things I've heard about the razors, and even the regular Viper line is pretty good. This is a 3 power, which is the lowest setting, and it goes all the way up to 18. I'm not big on super high power scopes. In the military, we did fixed 10 power, and that worked fine. Most hunting scopes for years were made in the 3 to 9 range. In World War II, people were lucky if they had a 2.5 power scope to make some of the long range shots that World War II snipers were making. So to me, being able to have a fixed 10 power is fine. I do have another Leopold that's a fixed 16 power. So this going up to 18 is pretty high. I'm not sure what my Night Force scope is, but it goes up in the higher range as well. I doubt I'll shoot past 1,000 yards with this rifle. But the 3 power is good to see stuff. Some come in 4 power. But when they start getting up to 20-something power, I don't use the range that far. And to me, if you're shooting targets that are kind of close, going to a high range gives you a lot more shake and unsteadiness when you're trying to go through things and everything. But the range adjustment, or the power adjustment, very smooth. It works well. Like I said, it gives a decent amount of adjustment going from 3 to 18, and it's within 180 degree throw, it seems. You have your left and right adjustment and your elevation. I believe these are going to be locking scope caps. Yeah, you can pull up on them and make your adjustments. They click pretty well. And then you can push in on them and they'll close and you won't be able to adjust them at all, which is a good feature to have. But they're very tactile and audible with the clicks, and then you're able to push them down and they'll lock into place. You don't have to mess with them. The illumination is on the side here. It's got a nice knurling texture on it. If you pull it out, it'll give you the ability to illuminate from 1 to an 11 setting, and in between each number is an off position. So if there's a certain type of daylight you work in, you can set it close to that setting, push it in, it locks it so it won't adjust. When you need to use it, you can just go from off to on doing one click and have it at the brightness setting that you had it set up at. So that's a nice feature. It's not on or off. It is adjustable. I'll have to check out later when I put the battery in how well the reticle illuminates, but it should be pretty good. 34 millimeter main tube. Biggest main tube I have. When I first started out in firearms, everything in America was pretty much a 1-inch tube. Eventually they ended up going to the European style, which is a 30 millimeter tube instead of being 1 inch. Allows a little bit more range adjustment. It also helps allow more light into the scope and everything, so it gives you a better eye box and view and everything, which is one of the reasons I had to buy different scope rings. Is I do have 30 millimeter rings, but I don't have anything that's 34 millimeter size, so this is my biggest one that I've gotten. On the Bell objective area lens here, it's going to be a 50 millimeter, which for me is about as big as I want. They have some that are 56 and bigger, but the philosophy is to mount your scope as close to the bore line, as low on the rifle as you can, and the bigger the bell, usually the more light it allows in. Most of my shooting is done in daylight. I'm not a European shooter that needs a big 56 millimeter objective. I'm not worried about a whole lot of dusk and dawn shooting because there is an illuminated reticle. And like I said, to me a 34 millimeter main tube with a 50 millimeter objective works just fine for me in the power range I want. I'm not into mile-long shooting or anything like that. 100 meters is normally as far as I'll shoot, sometimes even 100 yards, depending on the range setup and everything. But I would like to take this and put it on a modified copy of a M24 rifle that the military used, and I'm building it and figure this would be the modern day equivalent of what would be considered one of the better scopes on the market. Like I said, to me the price and the value is pretty good. This right here ran about $1,700, which, yes, it's a lot, but you can spend $3-4 grand or more on some scopes, even up to $6,000 depending on what you're getting. At a certain point, kind of like with a muscle car or something else, you're paying a lot more money for a little more horsepower. On the flip side, if you get something that's really cheap, it's really not going to do what you want it to do. So to me, this is a happy compromise that I ended up doing. I'll get this probably set up on the rifle and maybe give you a picture of that, and we'll go from there. But like I said, overall it's a pretty good scope. From all the research I did online, I think it'll meet all the needs that I have, and so we'll see how it works out for me. Alright, so I got the scope mounted up and everything. Seems like it's going to work pretty good for my needs. Was messing with the reticle adjustment. Seems to adjust pretty good. It does have a parallax adjustment on here that allows you to adjust a little bit more for the range and everything. It's kind of set up more like a target rifle, where it goes from like 25 meters in, then it basically jumps a bit and allows you to go from 500 to infinity pretty quickly. But the reticles on it make it more like a target rifle than a long range or a tactical rifle. But everything on it seems to adjust pretty good. Christmas tree style reticle. Maybe I'll throw up a picture of what the EBR-7 reticle looks like, but the whole reticle itself, Christmas tree and all, illuminates pretty well. So appreciate you for watching. Thank you very much. Cav Cop out.